Sounds Catholic. No mai, haere mai. Welcome to Sounds Catholic. I'm Ken Joblin, ngā mihi nui from the team. If you're listening to us for the first time today, we're about all things Catholic in the Canterbury and West Coast regions. From Cheviot to Waimate, from Akaroa to Whataroa, Sounds Catholic has you covered. Today we especially greet those of you listening to us in South Canterbury. We joined many of you in the wonderful Basilica of the Sacred Heart last Sunday to celebrate its centenary. It was a wonderful occasion, and we're reflecting on it today with audio from that Mass. I'm in a packed basilica preparing for the centennial Mass for this great church, built during 1910 and completed in late 1911. I think it's among the finest churches in the country. The architect was Francis Peter, who built many churches in the Baroque and Romanesque styles throughout the South Island. His most magnificent achievement was the Cathedral of the Blessed Sacrament in Christchurch. As a cathedral parishioner myself, I'm so glad to be here in a smaller version of that cathedral. While we prepare for Mass celebrated by the Papal Nuncio to New Zealand, Archbishop Charles Belvo, let's hear a reflection from Sean Brosnahan, who compiled a great history of Sacred Heart Parish from its beginnings in the late 1800s. Thinking About Heaven, a history of Sacred Heart Parish Timaru, is a well-told history not only of this parish, but of Catholicism in Canterbury. In his introduction to the book, Sean writes, "When I drive up over the final hill towards Timaru from the south, I am looking for just one thing. When I see the dome of the basilica, it suddenly pops into view as you crest the summit just past Kingsdown. I know I am nearly home. It seems to float there, this magnificent building that oddly enough is near the edge of town. Such a fabulous edifice seems more like something that the whole town should be built around. Yet there it is, a miracle in creamy limestone and verdigris copper, dominating Timaru's southern approaches. There is nothing else like it in the city, and no other building that comes anywhere near its imposing presence on the townscape. As a child, I revelled in the light and colour of Sacred Heart's interior. There was the richness of the stained glass, scenes from the life of Christ in the main body of the church, a roll call of saints above the sanctuary and along the nave. The statues were further markers of Catholic identity. St. Peter Chanel, the Madonna and Child, the angels, St. Joseph. Just sitting there, you could quietly absorb 2,000 years of Catholic tradition. The ornate marble altar absolutely intrigued me. I wondered if there wasn't some secret doorway set into its columns and decorative panels that would open directly into heaven. I can recall looking up at the limestone pediment that stretches right around the church, just above the Ionic columns, and thinking how cool it would be to crawl along it, checking there for the same secret entranceway to paradise. The basilica seemed like something ancient and timeless, a little piece of eternity that had taken root amongst us. It was an impression that was reinforced by the triumphant sound of the organ at full blast. But most of all it was inspired by the vigour of the large worshipping community that thronged its pews every Sunday. The whole thing, the building, its decorations, its specialised personnel, the regular routines of worship, had an aura of stability and, to this child anyway, a delicious hint of sanctity. Catholicism stamped a deep mark on me, long before I even became aware that there was any such thing. Generations of Timaruvians must have experienced the same subconscious formation in faith. Archbishop Belvo was the principal celebrant at the Mass. He was joined at the altar by a number of New Zealand bishops and clergy, and the congregational singing was augmented by our cathedral choir and orchestra. These forces join in the opening hymn, Faith of Our Fathers, a melody sung with great fervour and sentiment within these very walls throughout the last century. We cast our minds back to the opening of this basilica on the 1st of October 1911, Rosary Sunday. As parish historian Sean Brosnahan records, a couple of days before the grand opening, the church lights, electric lights no less, were switched on for the first time. The result was a brilliantly and evenly lighted interior, and from all over the town the higher windows, particularly those below the central dome and in the towers, could be seen. Like the lamp in the Gospels, the new church was set before Timaru as a lamp stand to give light to everyone. Indeed, everyone associated with the project now wanted to be part of the celebrations, with one notable exception. All 4 New Zealand bishops came, each taking a role in the opening ceremonials. Over 50 priests from all over the country joined them. Every South Canterbury mayor, lots of councillors, and the local parliamentarians also fronted up. Dawn of 1 October 1911 broke on a perfect South Canterbury day, the most wonderful day in the history of the parish. The garrison band shared duties with the marine band to entertain the throngs in the church grounds, which were richly decorated with bunting for the occasion. Over 1,400 people crammed into the church for services in the morning and again in the evening. Some had booked their places for a 10-shilling fee weeks before. Nothing was held back. All the pomp and circumstance, the colour and the ceremonial of Roman Catholicism at its grandest, was deployed. This happened again last week. Let's hear the Kyrie from Mozart's Coronation Mass, sung by our cathedral choir and orchestra, directed by Don Whelan. We sang from the gallery into a beautiful acoustic. The Papal Nuncio, Archbishop Charles Belvo, reflects in his homily on the way the clergy and religious have accompanied the parishioners of Sacred Heart Timaru through all stages of their lives.
For 140 years, in this town priests have served you, the religious have served you. At the moment of birth, when they bring the children to baptism, when they begin their journey of faith. In the years of education at school, when they will be confirmed, when they will receive Jesus in the Eucharist, when they will be healed in the sacrament of reconciliation. Later in life, when they're about to make their place in the world, most of you who are married come to this church for the blessing of your marriages. Some of you have made religious professions. Some of you who are with us were ordained to the priesthood. And then lastly, as we know, as sickness sometimes and death afflict us, it is your priests and your religious who have been at your side to bring you the sacrament of the sick, to bring you communion to the advocate at the moment that you are coming close to your death, to console your families, to celebrate the funerals, to pray for the repose of your souls. All these different things are part of our life. And so we give thanks to God that what you have heard is not a human message. What your forebears who first arrived in this land, in this town, first heard the words of the gospel, they were not mere human words. They were the words of God. And you now hear words